Hello. I'm going to be talking to you about Lupron in men. The main reason I'm putting this together is because I tried to find out things about Lupron in men, and I couldn't find much. I did finally, but it took a long time. I found that there were lots of videos about women who had taken Lupron, and some of what I'm going to talk about may apply to some women, but this is going to be about what it does with men, or what it can do. Let me say this. I did do some Lupron. I'll tell you about that in detail later, but I want you to know I've been told this does not happen to everybody. What happened to me? I went to a lady, I'm going to say she's a health coach. She's not a doctor, but she kind of helps people who have things going on in their lives. And she said she had other men who were on, she didn't say Lupron exactly, but it was either Lupron or hormone therapy for prostate cancer. Because there are a few, but I'll talk about that too. But I'm going to be talking about it with men. And so I have to say, I have been told not everybody, what I'm going to tell you about doesn't happen to everybody, but it absolutely did happen to me. So it's going to be Lupron. That's what we're talking about. I was put on it for prostate cancer. It's a hormone therapy. It's to reduce the level of testosterone. I am not a doctor. I am not giving anybody any advice. I'm telling my story. It's for entertainment purposes and just so you can hear what somebody had to say about something. We're still free to do that here in America. But I'm not giving you advice, but I'm going to tell you my experiences and my thoughts. When I first got diagnosed with prostate cancer, I knew nothing about it. Nothing at all. I thought they were going to be wrong. I thought they were going to say, oh, well, we made a big mistake. Really, you're fine. Because, I thought, like everybody else, I can't get cancer, but I did. So since I didn't know anything, I started off just by following advice. And I was told, do what the doctors tell you. Don't do anything weird. Don't go to Mexico for some special treatment. So I did what the doctors said. I did the basic tests, got a biopsy. My Gleason score was 8. I don't know if you're familiar with that or not. That has to do with how aggressive the cancer is. The Gleason score goes from 1 to 10. 10 being the absolute worst. 1 would be like, no, who cares if you got 1. But mine, with the biopsy, said mine was an 8, so it's fairly aggressive. And so I had the surgery. Now, what the doctor did, he drew this for me, pulled out a little sheet of paper, and he started drawing this. He says, now this is the prostate. These are the seminal vesicles. This is the, I forget what you call it, ureter maybe? It's the line going out of the prostate. This is going to go to the penis. It also carries an ejaculate also. But anyway, it says, now this is the bladder. This is the bottom of the bladder. He says, now I took all this out. He says, I sent it all to pathology, where they check out and see, what's it look like. He said, all of this had cancer in it. The Gleason score was 9. He says the only thing, he said, now I also took out these 2 little lymph nodes. He says, now they're a distance from there. He said they didn't show any cancer. So that was it. Everything else was Gleason score 9. So he explained to me what we would expect. You know, the PSA test is early, prostate-specific antigen. You know, you probably know what this is. If you're looking at this video, you probably know what a PSA is, blood test. Okay, now I got the surgery. Then we waited about a month, and we checked it like 3 times. He told me, he says, now, we did this. He says, now, there's other things we can do. He says, now, prostate cancer likes testosterone. If we can shut down the testosterone, it'll shut down the cancer growth. He says, but it won't work forever. He says, after a while, the cancer is going to figure out how to make its own testosterone. I thought, well, great. So it's not really, hormone therapy is not sounding real promising. But anyway, we had that. He says, we have that. We have the, so we had already done the surgery. He says, we've got the hormone therapy, and we also have radiation. So I got the surgery. Now, in theory, if we got all the cancer out of there, my PSA would be below 0.1, like undetectable. Well, which would be good. Well, we checked it 3 times. We had the surgery. We waited about a month. I'm unsure exactly. Maybe it was 2 months. And maybe we waited 2 months. I'm healing and recovering and stuff. So we checked the PSA, and it was good. It was below 0.1. And we checked it the second time, which was like another month, about another month after the first one. It had risen. It was up to 0.2 something, which is still low, but it's rising. That's a bad indicator. If it's a rising PA, we don't want that. So we waited another month and a half, whatever it was. Checked it the third time. Now it was 0.3 something. He told me, I think we need to start the hormone therapy. I said, okay, I'm going to do that. And the one we're going to use is called Lupron. I looked it up later. This leuprolide acetate is the active ingredient. It's used in a lot of drugs. If you look up leuprolide acetate, you'll find that it's used in Lupron. It's used in Eligard. I had a guy I had talked to at one time early on in this. He was on Eligard, and I said, and we were talking and comparing notes, and he seemed to be having, we both seemed to have the same side effects, it seemed to me. I said, same thing? I said, they give you a shot in the butt? And he says, no. On the Eligard, he says they do it in the stomach. So, okay. Well, mine was in the butt, but it's still got this in it. This is a chemical castration. It's matter of fact, the doctor at one point said, no, we could remove your testicles. He says, it's not a big deal. You come into the office, we do it real easy, and you can go back home. But not too many men are going to say, oh, good, do that. That's a hard sell. Knowing what I know now, I might have been better off. But anyway, now you think, since this is a chemical castration, that this stuff, they inject it into your butt and it acts on your testicles. It's not the case. That's not how it works. So you do get the injections in the butt with the Lupron. And you would think, okay, so all the action's right here because we're telling the testicles to quit producing testosterone. That's not what happens. You get the drug in the butt, but it works on the brain. The brain, the brain is putting out hormones. There's all these endocrine systems. I've learned a lot about that, but I won't pretend that I understand it all. I absolutely do not. But what happens is this drug works on the brain, signals to the brain, actually the pituitary gland. The pituitary gland is the master gland that controls a lot. It's like a main part of our body architecture here. So anyway, but it does work. They did that. I got that. It did that stuff to my brain. dropped the testosterone level and went back sometime later, and sure enough, the PSA had gone down. It did work. Now this is what they say. I think I found this online. It was just a list of things that can happen when you get Lupron. Redness at the injection site, hot flashes. I did have that. Didn't have that. Increased sweating, no. Night sweats, no. Tiredness, maybe a little. Headache, never had a headache. Upset stomach, no. Nausea, diarrhea, constipation, stomach pain, no. Breast swelling, yeah, I did have a little bit of that. My fiance noticed it more, really. Trouble sleeping, no. Reduced sexual interest, maybe. It's hard to say whether it was that or, when they remove your prostate, things change. Swelling of ankles, didn't have that. Increased urination, no. Dizziness, at first, no. Weakness, no. Testicle pain, no. Impotence, again, well, that's kind of that again. Depression and memory problems. I want to show you this while I'm thinking about it. I'm going to tell you about a video. Let's see if this is going to show up. You may be able to read it. This is talking about some side effects that happen with hormone therapy, and weight gain, anemia, fat levels change, but the depression, the slowed thinking, the memory. Did it say? I think it said confusion too. I think underneath, I don't know how to get that to go away. Oh, there it goes. So slowed thinking, memory changes, confusion. I did not get this at the beginning, but I absolutely got a huge amount of it later. I'll tell you about that. I just wanted to show you this while I was thinking about it. And this, I'm going to tell you about this video. It's not exactly a cartoon. It's very well done. It's full of a lot of information about hormone therapy in general. And so you can see it's not exactly a cartoon. It's just kind of like this. It's like a picture with, and there's a narrator. He explains the stuff as you go through it. Okay. So anyway, that could happen. That's kind of what they say. That's like what would be on the box, maybe. Now, this is some things that did happen with me that were like there for sure. These were 1 month injections. It means I get the injection. It's good for about a month. I noticed they didn't go by exactly 30 days, but about that. After about 3 days of this first injection, my ears started ringing. I thought, am I having a heart attack? Because it was very instantly, and there was no doubt about it. And it just kept going, just the same. I had mood changes. I felt myself being kind of bitchy, a little bit like a woman can be when she's having her period. I was just a little bit bitchy, and it really was a little bit out of character for me. But that happened. Felt a little off, but nothing I could really put my finger on. I did notice that my body hair was thinning. Used to have more hair than that. Okay, onward. Oh, the reason I had these 1 month injections, the Lupron is available in 1 month, and they're good for, the one injection is good for a month. I think they have a 3 month, a 4 month, a 6 month. I don't know about a 2. But anyhow, this was a 1 month. The reason I had the 1 month injections is when all this was happening to me, I had no insurance. I was kind of living on the edge. I was 64 and a half, and I ended up on Medicaid. And they helped me out a lot, but this is all they would pay for. Medicaid would only pay for a 1 month injection. Excuse me, it's time for us to swallow coffee. So I had two of those, had two 1 month injections. Now, since this happened when I was 64 and a half, by the time I've had the surgery, I'm getting on the Lupron, blah, 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 blah. I've had my 65th birthday. That means I go from Medicaid to Medicare. What difference does that make? Well, the difference in this case, the Medicare would pay for a 4 month injection. I was told when the doctor first told me about hormone therapy that it was about $2,000 an injection, which I thought, oh my goodness, because I was broke at the time. All this happened at a time where I was just kind of living on the edge, and I was paying for tests out of pocket and paying for this out of pocket, and I was getting low on money. Anyway, so then I started getting the 4 month injections. The 4 month, now when I looked this up, when I was looking up Lupron and leuprolide acetate, it's available, as far as I could tell. Again, I'm not a doctor, but it looked to me like when you got a 4 month injection, it was just 4 times as much of the same thing, just was a bigger shot, which is probably, I don't know, but I think there's a good chance that's why I had so much trouble. Now, when I got this first 4 month injection, I didn't notice anything that day, didn't notice anything the next day, but the day after that, things started happening. And I thought maybe, I guess I'm really tired. I just need to get a little bit more sleep. But this is within within a matter of weeks, all these things were happening. Dizziness, difficulty thinking, big time difficulty thinking, feeling drugged all the time, 24 hours a day. Poor memory, just wasn't good. Hot flashes, like a woman has during menopause. They did handle that. They gave me some kind of, I think it was a female hormone, Magestrol, I think it was, Magestrol. But anyway, it did get rid of the hot flashes. I took it for a little while. Hot flashes did go away. That's really the only thing that went away. Poor balance, audio hallucinations. I think I'd hear people calling me and I'd look and no, nobody called me. Visual hallucinations, too many to go into, lots of them. Bugs that aren't there, butterflies flying through that aren't there. My ringing in my ears continued and would get very loud at times, which would it makes it hard to listen. It has for me, because I'm always listening over the ringing that's always there. I was losing more hair, a lot of light sensitivity. I wasn't really aware of it. I noticed that if I went into Costco or I went into Walmart, I would just get to where I could just barely think. The light sensitivity didn't give me a headache, but it messed with my brain. It absolutely messed with my brain. By the time I get out of there, I just wasn't feeling good. I couldn't think very well. Multitasking, doing one thing, doing something else, quit working. It just quit working. I couldn't do either one very well. So I needed to do this, finish that, then do that. Even if it's just listening to somebody, like if I was working on something, some little whatever, mixing eggs, whatever. So I'm mixing eggs and my wife's trying to explain something to me. I better quit mixing the eggs and just listen to her if I'm going to really get what she says. Anyhow, finally one day I got in my truck. All this stuff is going on, except the hot flashes. And I had this realization, and I thought, if I keep doing this, if I keep going the way I'm going to die. This is not good. I'm taking over now. And remember, I'm not a doctor, but I've made that decision anyway. I took responsibility for my own health. So I called the doctor's office. They don't keep Lupron in their refrigerator with other drugs. They order it specifically. They order what I need, and as I need it, and it's expensive. I don't know. It would be expensive if I was paying for it. Maybe I don't know how that works for them. Anyway, I told them I wasn't going to take it anymore, and I started doing research. What else can I do besides what I've been doing? And I'm going to tell you, this is a guy. This is something you can look up on YouTube. It's called Raj versus Lupron. Raj talks about his how Lupron is being for him. It doesn't say verse. I mean, it's not written versus, but Raj vs Lupron, and you'll get it. It's just it's no big detail. Just about 5 minutes probably, but it'll give you a second opinion of what can happen, what it can be like. Now this is the guy that one I showed you a little while ago where it was about the YouTube video. The name of that video is Hormone Therapy for Prostate Cancer. And just look that up on YouTube. It's pretty good all around. It'll give you an idea of what's happening. You know, I had to watch it over and over and over and over, but it was helpful just to know from a medical standpoint what it does, what they expect it to do. I know now that it can do more than what they think it can do. But anyway, so I asked my urologist, who was also my surgeon. He's the one who was giving me the Lupron, and this was the next time I was supposed to be getting my third 4-month injection, but I didn't. And I said, well, how long is it going to take me to get back to normal? Because all those things are still going on. Trouble thinking, hallucinations, the whole shooting match. And he was real non-committal. He says everybody's different. So, okay, that's fair enough. I know people are different. I also talked to my radiologist because I did do a round of radiation. I was into my radiation before I had the realization of I'm going to die if I don't change things. I got to change things. I'm taking over. And so I had to decide, well, I'm in this radiation treatment already. I was already well into it. And I thought, well, I don't know. I could be right. I could be wrong. I decided to finish it. So I did. I finished the radiation treatment. It was like 35 treatments, something like that. Now, this is something, this is another YouTube video, but I have trouble finding it. It's this young guy, a young black guy from some African nation, I think. Very smart guy, a very caring guy. I really liked him. This one, his talk he was giving was on MSG, and he was talking about what MSG can do. He says, this is a flavor enhancer. It gets added, they talk about the Chinese restaurants using it a lot. But monosodium glutamate has many names, many names. But anyway, he says what this can do is create these lesions in the brain. And then he says, these are dead spots. And I had this realization that I really did not want to have. And I thought, that's what I've got. I am not getting better. By the time I saw this, it had been a long time, and I just wasn't getting better. It was well over 6 months past when I was supposed to have had the last injection. So it took, I kept researching. Finally, I'm trying to improve my brain because I'm thinking I got something wrong with my brain, and finally just looked up brain injuries. And it was interesting. I thought this was kind of funny because I heard this more than once. If you've seen one brain injury, you've seen one brain injury, because they're not all the same. But I discovered a lot of stuff when I looked at that. Sorry, time for another sip of coffee. Now this is another YouTube person. She's talking about traumatic brain injuries. She calls herself the TBI coach. It's on YouTube. Her name is Natalie Kelly. She spells it like it should be Nathalie Kelly, but that's it. If you look up TBI coach, Nathalie Kelly. Now the name, I'm going to tell you about two. She's got several videos, but this one is pretty long. It's about an hour, 45 minutes or an hour or something. It's got a lot of data in it. She calls it How I Got My Brain Back. She covers a lot of things there. And then she's got grocery shopping with a brain injury. I'm bringing this up if you're somebody who's thinking about doing Lupron or some other hormone therapy. This is all data about that. But if you already have and you're wondering what's going on, you probably will appreciate this even more. How I Got My Brain Back. She mentions several different things she did. I pretty much tried, not all of them. I can't do all of them, but it was helpful. It was helpful. And this other one, grocery shopping with a brain injury. And I mentioned how when I went to Walmart or I went to Costco, and I would just get stupider and stupider the longer I was in there. And she gives some tips that I haven't done all of those, but I've done most of them. I do, and they do help me when I go in there. So would I do this again? All this stuff, knowing what I know now, I wouldn't start with any of it. This is me. If they said I had a high PSA and I needed to start all this stuff immediately, I would say no. Not right away. Not right away. I would try not to upset the doctor, and he might get upset anyway, because that's what he does, you know. But I would try to make a deal with him. It's going to come up again in a minute. But anyway, I would say, listen, what I would really like to do before I start setting these things up is take a look at this, think about it. How long could we take? A little while, make an agreement to have a little time between now and when we decide to start this heavy duty stuff. Maybe we could do, could we just do that? Oh no, this is another guy, and talking about, maybe this should have been earlier, but it's not, it's now. Joseph Mercola, Dr. Mercola, he has a lot of videos, he's got a lot of websites, he puts out a lot of information, and he has, I found this on my phone. I didn't realize I had this. I remembered that I had heard of it. So this is what he said about Lupron. Now he's talking about women primarily, because it's used a lot for women with endometriosis, particularly young women with endometriosis. There's gobs of those on YouTube. It's not very helpful for me or a guy who's got that kind of trouble. Let's see. Okay, so I took this from, I don't know where. It was something that he had put out. It's Dr. Mercola. Folks, Lupron is a disaster drug that in no way, shape, or form treats the cause of the problem. I've seen it absolutely devastate many women's lives. It is one of the few drugs that I actually cringe when patients tell me they have taken it. It is my experience and belief that the drug causes permanent neurological damage. This drug needs to be avoided at all costs. That's how I feel about it too. It's absolutely how I feel about it. And read that one line again. It is my experience and belief that this drug causes permanent neurological damage. It's bad news. It's a brain injury. For me. It's for me. Now, I'm going to scoot off in a little bit different direction just for a little bit. In the series of tests I went through, first starts with PSA, and then we did some kind of an ultrasound checking the prostate area. We did a digital exam, the guy reaches up in you and feels it. My doctor, I wasn't happy to hear this, but as soon as he touched it, on mine, he says, that feels like cancer. Thought, I don't really want to hear that, but whatever. Okay, anyhow, then there's the biopsy, and then once they know you do have cancer, they want to do a whole body bone scan. Now, cancer is sugar avid. It loves sugar. It wants itself some sugar. This was discovered, it's probably about 100 years ago at this point. Otto Warburg discovered this characteristic about cancer. And they use this characteristic when they're doing the whole body bone scan. What they do, I did one, and what they do, there's a little guy, they inject radioactive glucose. It's not so radioactive that I'm going to glow in the dark, but it is radioactive glucose. And what they do is they give you the injection, and then they say, okay, so you can leave for a couple hours, you can have lunch or whatever, but come back in 2 hours and then we'll do the rest of it. So that gives this radioactive glucose time to get pumped all the way around and get all through the body. And then you come back, and then they do the scan, and you go foot first. There's a machine that I don't know how it does it, but it's a scan. It's looking inside the body, and actually what it's looking for, I think it goes that way and then it comes back through this way. What it's looking for is things that light up on the scan. There are some things that just will light up, like my prostate. The prostate was going to light up because we knew it had cancer. At this point, we know that. I think the brain lights up. There are some things that I think the heart lights up. There may be others, but the guys that can read the scan know what they're looking at. But what they're also looking for is on the bones. If prostate cancer is going to spread and grow other tumors here and there, it likes to do it on bone. So they're going to look, they're going to see, okay, on the shoulders, maybe there's some, or maybe this knee's got some, or maybe it's this foot that's got a big tumor somewhere. That's what they're looking for. But remember, this works because sugar, the cancer loves sugar. So we don't want to give it any sugar. We really don't. And when I say sugar, I don't just mean donuts and chocolate pie and ice cream. I mean anything. I didn't know anything about diet at this time either. One more sip of coffee. If you have some, you can take a sip too. Any carbohydrate that a person eats is going to turn into sugar. That's just what it does. That's what the body does with carbohydrates. And carbohydrates, for the most part, come from plants. If you eat eggs, meat, pork, bacon, unless they added bacon like a sugar cure or something, but fish, none of that stuff's going to have any carbs in it. So it's possible to shut your carb intake way down. So I want you to know that. Now, this was my answer to knowing what I know now. Would I go through all those standard medical handlings? No. I wouldn't just jump into them. And I would talk to the doctor. I would see if I could wait. How about this? Can I wait 3 or 4 months? Depending on what he's found, he might say, yeah, you can do that. Maybe you gotta, whatever. It's between the patient and the doctor, you know. Then I could say, well, maybe we could recheck. Maybe I can get the time, and then maybe I wouldn't bring it up then. Maybe later, and if he agreed to give me some time, then later on, maybe I'd say, can we recheck my PSA, see if it's gone up or it's gone down or if it's the same? That's what I would do. And then I would absolutely immediately start on a ketogenic diet or a carnivore diet. Actually, for me, I would start on a carnivore diet. It's either one is going to be, if you're like me, you were eating pies whenever you wanted to and donuts whenever you wanted to and peanut butter and jelly sandwiches all day long, hamburgers, french fries, all that stuff. So it's a big change to go to either one of these. This one is a lot easier to know what's okay to eat. If it's meat, it's fine. I can eat all the ribeyes I want. I can eat all the bacon I want, but I watch to make sure it doesn't have sugar in it. It's a little hard to find one that doesn't have sugar in it. I can eat all the eggs I want. I can eat cheese if it doesn't bother me. Some people have trouble with cheese. It's not something I eat every day, but when I feel like, that sounds good today, I'll put cheese in my eggs. I can have butter, eggs, cheese, beef. I love beef. I eat beef every day, but occasionally I'll have some chicken, or I might have some pork. Maybe we cook some ribs, and this is going to bring down these carbs. It's going to bring this way down. This is another word for this carnivore diet, is a zero carb diet. It's not technically zero, but it's pretty close. There are some people are going to say, this diet by itself will not cure cancer. But then I found other people who said, I changed my diet and my cancer is going away, or it is gone, or whatever. I'm pretty sure, I think this is the most important thing I've done. I've done a lot of things. This guy, Andrew Scarborough, I think he's an English guy, a young guy. He had a glioblastoma, which is a brain tumor, and they're bad news. It's kind of a death sentence when they say that to you. Well, Andrew did have a surgery. They took out what they figured was safe to take out. Of course, you can't remove a guy's whole brain, but so he did have the surgery, and then I don't know if he does anything else, but I think he was doing keto diet at first, and I don't know. I haven't checked recently, but every time I first discovered him years ago, and usually glioblastoma is the guy's going to be gone in 6 months, and he's not. Last time I checked, he's still alive and kicking. So this can be effective. I wouldn't promise anything. Matter of fact, can't promise anything anytime to anybody. There are no guarantees. If the person does the standard of care, the surgery, the hormone treatment, the radiation, no guarantees. If he goes an alternative route, no guarantees. Zero, nada, zilch. None, no guarantees. But having said all that, I've done several things. The diet, I think, is the single best thing I've done. I'm going to make another video later about other things I've done, and I'll say what I think about them. Some of them I didn't continue. I just didn't feel like they were doing anything. Some of them I still do. That's pretty much it. That's pretty much the choices, though, So that's about all I can say for now. Hope this helps. And all I can do is wish you the best of luck. And I'll put out another video later. Good luck.